Starting. It says we are live. Hello, everybody. Smirk is here again. Today I have with me Martius Phileas, our Roman expert, and Maud Wayne, who knows a lot about the Europe side of warriors. And we have Gunny, though he'll be right back. So, yeah.
Yeah. Pardon my stutter. Gunny is an American war veteran, just for a little backstory for anybody who needs to know.
I forgot that. Thanks for that. So, yeah, like the title says, we're going to talk about warriors, or in our terms right now, soldiers. And a bit about how it is today and how it was in the past. So, yeah.
Well, I think we could start with maybe the furthest back warriors. Well, I mean, there are a lot of Mesopotamian cultures that had real organized armies beforehand, but when we think back to the first army, we usually go with the Egyptians because, Egypt did it first is the joke in a lot of history circles.
Yeah.
And with the when Menes had conquered both Upper and Lower Egypt, basically the north and south parts of the Nile River, he completely reinvigorated the. Oh, fuck, my stutter's bad today. He completely reinvigorated the region, brought in a lot of various different cultural aspects of warriors. Things from Nubia, things from southern Egypt, way down there, and of course things from the northern part of Egypt and parts of the Sinai Peninsula, even into what we now call Palestine. A very, very, very eclectic army and very, very successful. Conquered a large swath of the southeastern Mediterranean.
Alrighty, that's pretty interesting. But wasn't there like, I don't know, I guess you could call them battles like among the hunters and gatherers already?
Yeah, you couldn't really call it battles. If anything, you could call them skirmishes.
Yeah.
Not enough people for a real battle or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand that, before the large Mesopotamian cultures in Egypt, most people were nomadic and pretty much packed up and left. So you're looking at maybe a village of like around 1,000 people, with maybe a few hundred of them being able to fight.
And that would be very large, to be honest.
Yeah. Its tribal existence usually was like, what, 50, 60 people?
Well, no. I mean, you could get large tribes of 1,000, 2,000 people, but rarely did it ever break that, because it is very hard in Neolithic, it is very hard with Neolithic technology to pack up and move whole settlements like that. So typically, through natural selection, a tribe couldn't get any larger than a few thousand.
Ah, right.
And most tribes were somewhat interconnected, but not heavily interconnected. Because, well, the technology at that time wasn't really there. People didn't communicate the way they did in the early... for example, if you look at the early Mesopotamian or Egyptian systems, or even later the Greek, and after that the Romans, they had an intricate system to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
And with communication comes, well, largeness, really.
It wasn't only that. I really wish Carlos was here, because Carlos could tell you about the pre-agricultural status of man, because there still were, I guess you could call them warriors, as they went to fight and pillage other tribes. But as far as an organized army, a soldier, if you will, that didn't happen until as somebody pointed out in the chat, that yes, I know, quote, the Hittites did it first, but oh shit, what's up? That's I was in a stream with him and oh crap, I can't pronounce his name. He's Greek. You bastard. Get an American name like a decent person. But
Eleftherios. You mean Eleftherios?
Yes, that guy.
You can't say Eleftherios.
I cannot.
Okay.
But we know that the Hittites did it first, but when you think of the first I am a fat American pig. But when you think of the first army, you do think, I mean, most people think of Egypt, even though that the large Mesopotamian cultures did it first.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I mean, that the larger Mesopotamian cultures did it first. Places like Babylon, the Hittites, et cetera. But the first widespread use of Bronze Age weapons that came from Egypt, and of course the war chariot, which they did adopt, yes, from the Hittites, before you spam the chat with that too. But the Egyptians were the first ones to really take a multicultural stance on an army and integrate all the stuff. For instance, that war chariot, they made a lot of heavy modifications to it. Yeah. And for instance, they brought the axle back. They added leather for more shock absorption, so that while they're racing around the battlefield, there's not so much stress on the axle and the brace. And really mastered that whole Bronze Age army thing. And then you move on to the Greeks. The Greeks were actually a very, very, very unique point in human history in terms of development of their army. They weren't isolated, but each individual city-state had its own particular territory, its own particular sort of international relationship, like with other tribes and city-states that weren't Greek around the area. And each one had a very different approach to warfare. Given in the later days, as we started approaching the Iron Age, they all kind of became more uniformly hoplite and stuff, where they had the long spears. But you can see the uniqueness in each of their armies develop as the years go by. For instance, that helmet that we consider to be the quote Greek helmet, that was actually originally an invention of the city-state of Corinth. That big old shield, that was originally, I believe it was Spartan. It could have been Athenian, but I'm going to put my money on Spartan.
So we talking about the tower shield then?
That giant hoplon, that giant shield, that big disc shield. If you ever seen 300,
right.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was Spartan. Their spear, the Dori, that came from northern Greece along the Macedonian border. Lots of Thracian influence, even though Thracians were technically Hellenic, but they were their own separate thing. That's a whole other topic for another stream. And you could devote about 4 hours to talking about the different cultures that existed in Bronze Age Greece. It is a very, very interesting point in our history.
Yeah. Well, that's something that you sometimes see in those kinds of movies as well, like the Arcadians and the Thracians and the Spartans and all kind of jesting each other. I don't know if that was like that in real life, of course.
Oh, no, yeah. They were all, actually, until around the time of Darius and Xerxes and the other Darius, the people they had fought the most were each other. There wasn't really, like, Greece as a nation at that point. Yeah, it was like 15 to 20 different smaller, like, city-states and outlying territories, that all fought each other. I mean, all the time. I mean, we look back at that infamous rivalry between Athens and Sparta. From the Spartan hegemony all the way up through the Achaean League, which was, of course, led by Athens. And it was at that point, right around the end of the Bronze Age, they all started either joining up together or being conquered by one another into these larger kind of like nation states rather than just city states.
Mhm.
I mean, they were smaller than what we would now consider a nation, but they had sort of coalesced into a smaller group of around 4 to 5 like little alliances and small kingdoms before Philip the Conqueror, Alexander's father, swept all through Greece. Now, I would like to talk about Philip and his war with Greece. He successfully conquered most of Greece. And if you look at a map of Philip's empire, empire in open quotes, because when we think of empire, we think of these huge, just huge swaths of territory covering continents and stuff. But when you look at Philip's conquered territory, there is a little teeny tiny spot on the map of the nation of Greece that he was unable to conquer, and that was Sparta. I have to tell you, I absolutely love reading about Philip's interactions with the Spartans. It was
Why am I not surprised?
yeah, it was probably the Spartans were like modern day internet trolls, and I'm not kidding when I say this, because all right, the Spartans were very stoic. They didn't talk a lot,
Yeah.
especially to outsiders. And so when Philip was walking through Greece, he sent an envoy to Sparta, and the envoy said, "Philip can either enter your lands as an ally or as an enemy. It's your choice." And of course, the king of Sparta said neither. And the guy left, and Philip didn't come in because no, they had that reputation, dude. They were psychotic, crazy war mongering bastards. People were scared of the Spartans.
Yeah, but
And-
there have been a few cultures like that in the past, but these are cultures that revered their warriors, and dying wasn't a negative thing.
Wasn't that
Well-
like considered the greatest honor in some of those?
Dying in war was actually not dying of old age.
No, that's what I
Yeah.
mean.
In Sparta, only 2 kinds of people could get a headstone. If you were a woman and you died during childbirth, you got a headstone. If you were a woman that died under any other circumstances, you did not get a headstone. If you were a man, you can only get a headstone if you died in battle, not any other way.
Huh.
I mean, they revered motherhood and the warrior. It was a very, very interesting practice.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Well, there have been a few cultures like that, and there are how do you say this? It's very difficult to fight an enemy that does not fear to die if you do fear to die.
Yeah.
This is something we've seen throughout history as well. I mean, if we look at, for example, and I'm going to go into Martius' field of expertise here a little bit, but if you look at the Roman Empire, the legions at the beginning of the Roman Empire, they fought, and dying was definitely something that could happen. But yeah, shit happens.
Yeah, they placed their service. Well, first came status, second came family, third came military service to the Romans. They were a very, very. The entire nation of Rome was what we now call conservative. They placed, patriotism, tradition, military service above all else. This was how they lived their life, and to die in service of Rome wasn't like, I mean, you didn't get like special afterlife rewards or anything like that, but being willing to give your life for the nation of Rome was just what you were supposed to do as a land holding citizen of the state. It wasn't until many years later that the common plebeian was allowed to join the ranks of the military with the reforms of Marius. But to be a land holding citizen and and serve in the military was something that you just did, and you had to be prepared to fight and die for your land. You can see this in their culture. I mean, whenever you look at statues of Roman deities, the most prominent ones are always wearing armor, with the exception of like Jupiter and the females, because armor was that soldier's armor. It was a part of them.
It was a status symbol.
Yes, most statues, full-length statues of emperors, were done in armor. The most famous statue of Augustus Caesar, he's got the full. You can't really see it because it's just my head, but my avatar has a mock-up of the same kind of breastplate that Alexander wore, just not as ornate, because I really didn't have the time to detail all of the little details of the little guys on horseback and the little guys, and all that stuff. But it's a very ornate
Do you have a breastplate or what's the other one called? Lamina design.
No, it's a breastplate. It's a full breastplate. Yeah.
Cool.
And because emperors had to be seen as warriors. As a matter of fact, if you go through and look at the full names of a lot of the Roman emperors, a lot of them had the name Germanicus attached to it, which meant conqueror of Germany, because it was tradition that you had to prove yourself as a warrior to hold your position as emperor. And so how they did that was they would go and they'd pick a fight with some Germans.
Which were always ready to fight.
Yeah. You just cross the Rhine and you kick some ass.
Yep, or you got kicked back, one of the two. But unfortunately, especially in the beginning days of the Roman Empire, the Germans couldn't, the Germanic tribes couldn't withstand the Roman Empire.
Oh, no, because especially by the time of Julius Caesar, they were still, of that nomadic tribal kind of mentality. They had access to weapons, they had access to large numbers of troops, often outnumbering the Romans, but the Romans had the discipline, the training, the technology, and were capable of using all of those things to their biggest advantage to slap.
Did they also have the experience too, though?
Oh yeah, I mean, Roman military training was very. After the Marian reforms, they started calling the legionnaires Marius's mules, because they had to carry around one of the heaviest packs ever. I mean, even like modern day American soldiers don't get gear that heavy, and still,
100 pounds or something.
I'll have to double check the numbers on that because I can only hold so much in my head.
Yeah, true.
But it's kind of funny though, because the Germanic tribes' warrior mentality got shaped during the how do you call it, Roman period. And at that time, the Romans were far better warriors than the Germanic tribes. But if you look at 500-600, then the Germanic tribes became the better warriors, because they had shaped their mentality in a way that the Romans used to have. Because in the beginning, the Germanic tribes, they would fight, but dying in battle wasn't really useful because you'd be dead.
Yeah.
But after 500, amongst the Germanic tribes, dying in battle was a good thing. Just like it used to be for the Romans.
Yeah.
So you see a mindset change, and then the cultures that spring with that different mindset suddenly provide different forms of warriors. Especially if you go onward, the Goths, the Visigoths, but especially my favorite area, the Norse, the Dane, and the Rus period. Then you had warriors that, well, there's only one way to die well.
That's in battle.
And that's in battle.
Yeah, our modern word berserk came from a special type of Germanic warrior called the berserker, where they would just get high and drunk and work themselves up into a frenzy and run into a battlefield wielding a giant axe, screaming like a psychopath, butt naked.
Well, they didn't always have giant axes. They could have just used normal hand axes as well. But yeah, they could be naked. There are two names. One name stuck. Berserker stuck. Berserker basically means head of the bear. there's a second name for these warriors. This is no, not berserker, is skin of the bear. Sorry. The second name of these warriors was Ulf Hednar, wolf head, or head of the wolf. Basically, they're the same sort of thing. Now, we're not 100% sure how it worked, but yeah, they probably drank and used intoxicants to get themselves into a frenzy.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically there were two ways. They would die fighting, or they would live to die fighting another day.
Yeah, I've heard this about some African tribes as well that still do it.
Yeah.
They get intoxicated and then just fucking go ham.
And the average Legionnaire's pack weighed 66 pounds.
No,
or 30 kilos. But for our European friends in the chat. Yeah, but the thing about that is there's even a very famous story. During William the Conqueror's conquest of England, there's a very, very famous story about the soldiers of Harold Godwin. They were retreating from William's army, and they had to cross a bridge. So in order to buy his fellow warriors time, one berserker stood on that bridge and held off an entire wave of William the Conqueror's army. All he had was an axe and his own insanity. Yeah. I mean, we're looking at one giant dude with an axe versus an entire army, and he held them off for long enough for Harold's forces to escape. It's a very, very interesting story. I would highly recommend anybody go read about that. It's a very, very good story.
Sounds pretty cool. Yeah.
Now we're coming closer to my area of expertise. but yeah, no, but the thing about the Norse, the Rus, the Nor, and the Danes fighting styles, and they have different fighting styles. Don't get me wrong, because if you look at the Rus, that helped, for example, in the Byzantine Empire, and the Varangians, they didn't even use berserkers, but they had the same mindset, and that's the thing that kills. It's not the fact that he went into a killing frenzy or in a fighting frenzy. No, they used that to become more resistant and more resilient, because if you're high up on adrenaline, you don't really feel pain that much. But at the same time, every soldier of the Rus, Dane, and Norse cultures had the same mindset. There is only honor in dying in battle.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I want to die, but hey, today is a good day to die.
Yeah.
I'm back, by the way, boys.
Welcome back, my friend.
Welcome back, Gunny.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a pee, and then I'm going to
So you're gone again.
I'll be right back.
So you're gone again.
Just for a second. I just sat down. Hey, it's the diabetes. I can never tell. I got to piss 50 times a day, so I'll be right back.
I know what you mean, mate. But yeah, there have been certain cultures, and you will often find that the cultures that come up with warriors that do not care to die are cultures that a few hundred years before that were either under the attack or oppressed.
You just got sick of it, pretty much.
I wouldn't say that, though. It's just a mindset change that slowly seeps into people. I mean, we, for example, nowadays, we cannot imagine in the Western world that dying in battle is a good thing.
We totally have a lack of it, I'd say.
Yeah, at the moment we do. But if we go back a few hundred years, you already had that. Soldiers were venerated on average.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the interesting thing. I've been watching some videos, and they talk about that as well. It's like it's hard to come back to this society from a war because nobody really seems to give a damn about the soldiers, you know.
Yeah, and that's probably the most painful thing I have ever. I mean, like, I couldn't possibly I don't understand how other people can't understand that war is the most horrible thing ever. I mean, I may talk about it. I may get excited when I talk about it. I may talk about it in a grandiose fashion, but it is the most horrible thing a human being can experience.
Oh, yeah.
It is,
It's like literally hell on earth.
yeah.
The worst shit you can imagine happens there.
Well, I mean, nowadays we recognize certain afflictions our soldiers can have. I mean, in the Second World War and in the First World War, you had conditions like shell shock.
Yep.
I don't think they called it shell shock in the First World War, but they did so in the Second World War. But those afflictions, they were already spoken of in Greek mythology and in Greek, even in Homerus, they are talking about people losing eyesight and hearing because of the horrors of war. But if a soldier came back with loss of hearing or eyesight, they were seen as heroes, I guess, by lack of better word. They weren't seen as pariahs of society. Nowadays, we see our soldiers with PTSD as a pariah of society. This is beyond stupidity.
Yep.
I know, Carl. I mean, I know. Mod is like, it took me years to come out and tell people that sleeping at nights and stuff like this, and like it was exactly for that fact. Now I don't give a flying fuck. Take me as I am, or I'll throat punch you. So, like, I don't know if anybody has ever had a bout with that stuff, but it's not fun. It's not fun. I'm 50 fucking years old and I'm scared to go to bed at night. So,
yeah. And this is something that we know of. This happened throughout history. Everyone seems to think that this is something new to warfare because our warfare has got so much better or so much more effective or whatever you want to call it. But this has been true throughout history.
Well, I'd imagine that in history it would be even more traumatic because you literally had to hack each other apart.
That's what I mean. Hand-to-hand combat is the most fucking devastating thing you could ever go through.
Yeah.
Shooting each other from a fucking couple hundred yards away is nothing. Go fucking stab somebody in the guts and have their spew out all over your feet and then slip around in their blood and their gut and their shit and the piss, and that's got to be traumatic.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's why so many cultures in ancient times had their post or pre battle rituals. Pardon my stutter, but samurai used to have a whole ritual where they would clean, sharpen, and maintain their sword. Now, through our modern eye, we might see this as some means of making sure their weapon is in prime fighting condition. But when you're sitting there and you're dragging that stone across that blade, when you're polishing it, you're thinking about the things that you're about to do with this weapon, the things that are going to be done to you with weapons like this. You are preparing your mind for what you're about to do. And there is... they show it a lot in samurai movies, but they don't talk about it much in terms of like history books or in documentaries or anything like that. And I don't know why, but before a samurai would go off to battle, his family would dress him in his armor.
Oh yeah.
And this wasn't only just because of the fact that it's really hard to put that armor on by yourself. It was also because you're saying goodbye to your wife. You're saying goodbye to your children. You are coping with what may happen.
Yeah, you're changing your mindset. You have to
You're
recognize.
You're also preparing your family for the fact that you might not come back.
Well, not only that is you're
preparing yourself.
Yourself as well.
You go every time you leave the hooch, whatever, and you head out to. Well, it's hard to equate between those battles and today's battles, but you have to realize that I'm stepping out this door, I may not fucking come back.
Yeah.
Yep.
You better have your shit right and tight, or you won't come back, right?
Yep.
That's just the way things are. Like, we used to always, we'd go through the squad, and like, I always looked, that was my job, looking after the guys. That's why I'm there, right? Make sure they get home, I get home, everybody gets home. That's my job, my only job, right? Mm-hmm. And I'd go through when I knew there was something coming up, I'd spend an extra time. Like, there'd be some guy, his girlfriend left him, whatever, like this. I'd always say, no, man, like, you're not coming. I can do, no, you can't. You're not in the right fucking mindset. Your head's somewhere else. You'll get yourself or me killed.
Yep.
And I'm not doing that. Sorry. Like, it's my decision, not yours. Go lay down somewhere. Get away from me because you're not coming. I mean, it's just, it's the way it is. If you're not prepared in the mind to kill and be killed, then you don't go. It's just not. You'll get somebody else killed.
Yep.
And it's a nasty business. But,
Yeah, I remember. Now this is kind of like, this isn't. It can't compare to the real thing. So I just want to throw that disclaimer out there. But me and my buddies, we used to play war games, and one of my buddies was very, very, very willy-nilly with his troops. Commit, don't you give up that center and all this stuff. And I was a little bit more lax with my troops, and he would always get mad that I would beat him. And I kept trying to tell him that it's your job to make sure these guys live. And he said, but they're just little like zeros and ones. True. But the more guys that are alive, the more guys that can keep fighting. You have to make sure their well-being has to be number one on your priority list. It can't be, your priority list cannot be winning the battle and then your men. No, because if you win the battle but lose all your men, if you get yourself a Pyrrhic victory, then you're not going to be able to continue on at the next battle or the battle after that. Yep. Your soldiers have to come first, always.
And like I said earlier, I'm also not a soldier, but I've heard that stuff. It's like with every single person in the unit, your priority has to be the other guys on your team.
Yeah. Usually.
Yeah.
It's like this guy that I was watching was talking about courage and how that factors in when your buddy is shot and laying in the field of fire, and like you just jump in there and go grab him, with the risk at your own life. And it's like courage doesn't even factor into the whole thing. Most of the soldiers say about it. It's just like, well, he do the same for me, so I'm doing it for him. It's all of our lives that matter.
Yeah, there's I'm gonna pander to my Greek friend in the chat, but there's the Spartans went to a school called the Agoge. It translates as the upbringing, where they learned about war and fighting and all that stuff. But that was the primary goal, but many things they taught were singing, dancing, art, poetry. And here's the thing, that may sound really, really gay, and yes, the Greeks have a bad reputation of just all being gay and fairies and all this stuff, but while you're growing up with these guys, while you're going to school with these guys, you're singing, you're dancing, you know these guys like your family. They're practically your brothers at this point.
They are.
Yeah. And so when you grow up and you enter into the Spartan army, you are not fighting with, Joe Blow from, 3,000 miles away. No, you're fighting with a guy you have known since he was 8 years old. You have slept in the same rooms. You have gone to the same classes. You've trained together. You've fought together. You've ate, slept, and drank together. This is your brother. And that camaraderie carried over into their fighting style of the phalanx, where the guy to the left of you protected you with his life, and you protected the guy to the right of you with your life.
Exactly. Like I said, like everybody says, oh, we were fighting for flag and country and freedom and all that stuff. Bullshit.
You're fighting for
you're fighting for the guy on the left and the right of you, and that's what you're fighting for. Flags and countries have nothing to fucking do with it when you fucking 7.26 rounds.
But that's one of the funny things that I find about modern armies. If we go back through history, all armies, they fought because they were told to fight. This is still true, by the way. But they really didn't care about the king on the hill. They cared for the people around them.
Fucking right.
Well, that's also something.
I mean,
oh yeah, go ahead, Gunny.
Well, like I'm saying, they're always saying, "Oh, like when we come back, they're going, oh, that was a shitty warrior, and why did he do this, and why did he do that?" You know, just like in Vietnam, baby killers, blah 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 blah. You know, besides the draft, you know, you either go to jail for years and years and years and years, or you go fight.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to pick and choose the wars you fight. And okay, like when like I was in way before any of this shit started, and I knew what nobody forced me, nobody fucking blah blah blah. I was not forced, not coerced, not. I knew what I was getting into, and I did it. Okay, now I don't get now. Once I'm in there, I don't get to tell the people over top of me, "Oh, I'm not going to go fight there. Oh, that's not my war." And it's, I don't know, unless the first time you're set down in a fucking and you know bullets start rattling around and artillery comes and everything, it plumb rattles some people. It does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, and you gotta take that with like how do I say that? You gotta take accounting of everybody around you, because that guy's gonna die if he goes into the field. That guy's gonna die if he goes. That guy's gonna be a killer. That guy's gonna. You gotta go around like that, right? Because I don't want some fucking guy pissing his pants next to me. I really don't, you know, because he's gonna get half of my fucking squad killed. That's wrong. I failed at that point, right? And as for coming back and having people fucking spewing shit at me, I could care less. Unless they're in front of me and they're physically fucking assaulting me or something, you know, they've got nothing to worry about. But you fucking try to lay a hand on me or denigrate some of my buddies or something like that, I'm gonna fucking throat punch you, right fucking there and then.
Yep.
Like this when I came back and all this safe space and all this shit was starting, like I've got a t-shirt. I said, there is no safe space around me. If you come within my fucking arm's grasp, you are not in a safe space anymore. Okay, you're not. And if you start spewing this fucking shit off of me, I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna go fucking off. I'm gonna go mental.
Yeah.
You know. So it's just like I say, safe spaces should on colleges should be where vets train to stay in with fucking cats and dogs. Space should be on college campus. It gets rid of the fucking safe space people that need safe spaces, and it trains our vets. And by vets, I mean veterinarians.
Yeah, I never understood the concept of a safe space.
In a college,
the world isn't a safe space.
Yeah, like in a college or a university, like this concept of for when it comes to somebody's feelings, like
you're allowed to have free speech as long as I don't deem it hate speech. But wait a second.
Yeah, right.
By the way,
it's like these people never had enough strife in their life to become a well-adjusted person or something.
Well, yeah. See, this is back to my point on we let the weak breed, right?
I don't think it's
100 years ago. It was the strong survive. Now we let the weak breed and the outnumbered.
No, I don't think it's.
No. Let me finish. 100 safe space users can kill one warrior with 1,000 squirt guns.
Yeah, I disagree with you. I don't think it's that we let the weak ones breed. I think that we've given rise to a way of thinking.
Weak people.
Well, no, not the weak people. It's the mindset. We've given rise to a people thinking in a negative way, and this is mostly
Modwin.
Yeah.
Strong person, mindset. So hence we've let the weak breed.
No, because it's.
I think it's not that simple, to be honest.
It's not. It's the mindset, but it's the mindset that they are taught. For example, if we look at how people think. For example, if you look at now the Black Lives Matter, the feminists, the social justice warriors, the mindset is wrong. But that mindset is very old because we're talking about things that came out of the Frankfurt School of thought. So that's turn of the 20th century stuff, and people are still pushing that.
Yeah, between the Germans and the Jews, they fucked this planet totally up. Now we got the fucking Islamists bringing up.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to say between the Germans. I mean, yes, it was the Frankfurt School, but most Germans aren't on board on the Frankfurt School either.
I know. My grandfather
Yeah.
My grandfather was German.
It's a political mindset. I mean, the Frankfurt School is closer to communism than socialism ever was.
I'm kind of like, are we derailing? Because I guess we treaded into the realm of the social justice warrior.
Yeah, I'm sorry for that.
Well,
I hate that.
I mean,
I hate that fucking name. I
Yeah,
hate that
I
fucking
know,
name. I
right?
hate that fucking name.
well, I mean, it is kind of interconnected. We have slipped away from our primal heritage and have become more of a more civilized. But in terms of becoming more civilized, we have
Coddled is what we are. We're a coddled fucking society.
Yep.
Is a good word, yeah.
That's why I loved your pin tweet, Gunny. That picture of the dude, or that picture of the soldier with the cigarette
that
saying
says,
feelings. Who issued those?
Who the fuck issued those? Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I still like that one.
yeah, I saw it and immediately was like, oh, this is great. I wish I had this tattooed on my face.
Yeah, I know. Speaking of tattoos, California, you can't get a tattoo until you're 17 without a parental signature, but you can get reassignment sex surgery.
What
Yeah.
the fuck?
Bizarre, isn't it?
Like, that's fucking weird.
That
You
should
know
be
why?
illegal
Because-
until your brain is fully developed.
Anybody that wants a sex surgery before the age of 20 needs to be hit in the head with a hammer.
Yeah, you have to be at least 21. to be honest.
Problem solved. Problem solved.
Anyways, let's get back to the subject.
Yeah, sorry, you're right, mate.
There was
I'm trying to be a good moderator,
You're better at it than I am.
yeah, we go off on tangents on those Wednesday streams, man.
I know.
But no, it's actually fun. The free form conversation is a very, very good way to go about it.
Yeah, that's true.
But what I was getting at was, if you go back to, if you want to go back to that whole not having a problem with dying thing, if you notice, you never see a samurai with a shield.
Yeah.
Because shields were taboo to the samurai, because their mentality was, if you go into battle believing you could die, then you will. I mean, this is, of course, quite stupid, because there were there were a bunch of successful armies that used shields and were very, very good at it. The only reason the samurai were allowed to get away with it was because they were fighting other samurai.
Yeah.
And very, very interesting take on that mentality of it's okay to die, or at least I'm not too worried about dying.
Mm-hmm. Didn't they
Even
train for that
oh, sorry, go.
even when they were kids and stuff? The samurai?
Oh yeah, you could almost look at samurai as the knights of
They were
Japan.
the knights in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah,
They were.
they served their
armor in 1860.
Yeah, the armor was completely useless, but they were still wearing it.
Yep.
I fully endorse what my Greek friend in the chat is saying. You need a big fat hoplon and some good shiny bronze armor. I am completely with you on that. But
I'll take my K500 body armor against that dude any day.
Well, that's not fair. Well, actually, no.
Who the fuck?
Yeah.
Love and War was fair. Lied to you, my friend.
But the samurai were trained from a young age. They were nobles, typically, and a samurai would have the money, would have the access to resources to train from that young age all the way up into adulthood, where he would join the army and fight for his lord. Now, samurai weren't the only ones on the battlefield, obviously, because, when such a small percentage of the population is noble, you can't have an army solely of samurai. The backbone of the Japanese armies at the time was the backbone of every pre-gunpowder army, and that was the spearmen. They had a very, very interesting spear called, I think it was called a Naga Naga.
Oh, I love that thing. I still want one.
Freaking long. I mean, 1.5 times my height, twice the height of a Japanese person. I mean,
Yep.
and just
I thought it was pretty cool that, or
Yori?
interesting that most of it was kind of like a staff and then like a halberd type thing on the end. Or are we not talking about the same thing?
When we were over in Afghanistan, they still had bows and arrows they were using.
But yeah, I mean, people underestimate the effectiveness of bows, to be honest. Yes, it's not quite as effective as an automatic rifle, but at the same time, if you get hit by an arrow, you are still in deep shit.
Oh,
Well, especially with what they rub all over the end of them, right? Or if they go in and if they go in, it's like, they'd leave them in. This is without a word of a lie, camel piss for a week at a time until the piss, and there'd be that sheen on it. If you got hit with that, you're going to the fucking hospital.
Yeah,
right? I'm screen sharing right now. This is
wound. You can, if it goes right through and doesn't hit bones. I mean, you just slap some fucking peroxide on it, wrap it up, and you're back. You get hit with a fucking contaminated arrow.
Mm-hmm. That is the Naga Naga.
You're going to the hospital.
However, that is a Japanese spear, but our Greek friend in the chat was correct. The backbone of the Japanese army at the time was a different kind of Japanese spear known as the Yori. I actually got my names mixed up because, they're both spears, and for obvious reasons. The Yori spear looks a lot like what you would consider to be a spear, except it had this flanged crossguard at the tip rather than just a solid piece. Here, I'll actually screen share it for you.
Yeah.
Let me just jump over here. Share. I don't have anything. Yep. All right.
But if you look at, for example, the Naga Naga, if you compare it to the Middle Ages glaive, late Middle Ages glaive, it's basically the same weapon.
None of them will stand up from a fucking rain of death from above with a fucking 155 millimeter fucking howitzer. I'll tell you that much.
Carlos in the Carlos David is in the chat. Really smart guy. He brings up the rapier. Sadly, the rapier was not great for pitched battle. It was designed.
It was good for noblemen picking at each other at a dinner party or something like that.
Yeah,
but exactly. I'd still like one of those great big fucking thick blade cutlasses with somebody coming at me with a rapier. Come on, buddy.
Well, yeah, if you have a cutlass against the rapier is more likely to be in big trouble. But the rapier is a refined version of, for example, the saber, and I forgot the other one. You've got the épée, the rapier, and there was a third one, and they are in the same line as the rapier. The saber, the épée, and a third one.
I'm not sure if this is what you're talking about, but the late model basket-hilted claymore from Scotland. Not the giant, like William Wallace claymore that they had.
Yeah, but the thinner one.
Yeah. The thinner one that came in the later years. Yeah,
they were specifically. I mean, the claymore and the saber were more for combat. The épée was also more for combat. The rapier was more for dueling. Because a rapier, I'm sorry, if I have a simple glaive, any weapon I can break a rapier with, because a rapier is thin. But if you take, for example, a saber, an épée, or a claymore, you cannot break those. They are for combat, but the rapier is for dueling.
Yeah. Did you see that new sport that's really taken off over in Russia there? It's full. They have
HEMA fighting,
shields. Fucking awesome. Watched about 4 hours of it last night. That's some tough fucking shit, man.
Yeah, it's not.
I don't care how fucking tough you. Yeah, no, I know, but it's new when they put him in a fucking octagon and.
No, it's not. It's been happening for quite a long time.
New for television. It's new for television, is what I'm saying. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe. Okay. Well,
Yeah, it's pretty much just what the Japanese would call kendo, except with
Yeah.
full plate
Western
armor.
European fighting styles. Yeah.
But
Oh,
this
that's
is
something
brilliant
else.
because you see, actually, they are wearing true armors, and they are
Yeah.
using real weapons. But the weapons they are using are a slight bit lighter than they're a little bit lighter than the original weapon would have been. So the chances of you actually damaging the armors is a little bit smaller. But the armors are real, so you're not talking about a flimsy, thin-ass armor. No, it's a real armor. It can withstand a real blow. Oh man, it's beautiful. To
Yeah,
see
but
that
I don't care
happen.
what you I don't care what you say. Just having a little piece of whatever they were, felt or wool inside of the steel pot. Okay, I don't care
No.
what you say. You got a 5-pound piece of metal and you hit somebody in the head with that.
Yeah,
Break your armor. It's still going to rattle your fucking head like you've been
it
hitting.
is
head
going
with a
to
golf
rattle you.
ball.
You will have a little bit more than a little bit of wool, though. I mean,
Now that
Well, that's what they.
how bark is very
what they used
important.
now that we're
Yeah,
talking
well,
about
they-
martial arts and stuff, aren't they also sort of warrior kind of types?
What, the Russians?
Well,
No, just martial arts in general.
martial arts was just
Because
a
you are
hand-to-hand
training to
combat,
fight.
right? Just different.
Well, every culture had their own martial arts.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, probably one of my favorite examples of that. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the movie series Ip Man. Great movie series. I think they're still all on Netflix. In the second movie, the character of Ip Man fights a Western boxer. Now, you know how like kung fu movies typically go, where they're all like, "Oh, my Eastern Chinese martial arts will defeat your silly Western ass,"
Yeah.
and then the Chinese guy proceeds to humiliate the Western guy.
Yeah, that's
Not
bullshit.
in this case.
No, it's
Yeah,
bullshit.
not in this case. Yeah. Not in this case. I was so impressed with how fair they were to Western boxing. Like,
Yep.
Ip Man would be punching him, and this guy's a Western boxer. He's used to being punched. He's like laughing at the guy. He's like, "Come on, hit me, boom, come on, hit me." And then just one solid punch from that guy was enough to almost take Ip Man out. I mean, he was staggering all over the place. When you look at, these martial arts, whether they be Western or Eastern, they were designed to beat a person's ass.
Yeah.
And there really is no like superior or inferior form of martial arts. It's just the man wielding it.
A friend of mine is also a Viking reenactor, as I am. He used to do Naginata fighting. He used to do Naginata fighting on battles. Naginata is, as we said, Japanese long spear, basically. He also did, not really Hema fighting, but reenactment fighting with the Viking long spear, because the Naginata and the long spear aren't that different.
Mm-hmm.
This guy was so good that he got invited to Japan to compete in tournaments, and they really needed him there, because if he wasn't there, the tournament wasn't good enough. So he was one of the top people in the world, or at least I think he was. But what made him particularly dangerous is that he combined Naginata styles with what we learned from Viking conflict fight styles. And
that's called Helga or Helge or whatever the fuck the actual Viking martial arts is called, Helge or something.
Yeah, but because the combination, and these are very slight differences. I mean, he's a Dutch person, so put a Dutch person against a Japanese person, we tower over them. We do. So, for example, if you look at how you block with the Naginata, if you do the same for Viking fighting, you block, but you also push at the same time. You would not only block his attack, you would totally put him off of his feet.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about how you would slightly outbalance him or anything. No, he would be off of his feet. He would be laying on his back.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's like I said. What is the name of that African martial art where they're jumping and kicking and spinning and fucking?
that's not African. That's Latin American.
You mean the Brazilian, what's it called?
Yeah, the
capoeira.
Brazilian one. Capoeira.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that couple
Yeah.
dance fighting. Yeah.
I seen a guy outside of a bar one time break out in a fit of that stuff, and there was fucking bodies laying all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Spitting chiclets and fucking black eyes. It was hilarious. I stood back. Whoa, nope, don't involve me in this one. I'm having a good time tonight. But like anything, like the basic thing is like Kaz always argues with me. It's the equipment, it's this, it's that, it's the other thing.
It's the mindset.
It's the mindset of the fucking warrior. If you have a shitty warrior, you have a shitty army. Okay.
Isn't it the combination between mindset and skill?
No, it's mindset mostly.
No, it's mindset. When I don't care if I've got a sharpened stick. My whole plan is to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, if you haven't got that mindset, you're no fucking good to me.
This is for example.
Would be
my
good to you then.
my first, when I'm like, if I'm out in a bar or something like that, my first thing to do is thumb somebody in the eyeball. Right? I don't care if you're fucking 6'10" and 400 pounds. I thumb you in the fucking eyeball, you're going down, or long enough for me to get a hold of a piece of you to make you fucking never get up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of nasty when I was younger and I got into fights. I always let you hit me first.
Always.
The first punch is always yours. And I would go down slightly, probably on one knee or something. But when I come up, you would go down. And you wouldn't come up anymore.
Yeah, all the fighting that I tried to do was mostly consistent of running after the other guy because they were always faster than me.
But that's the thing, though. Everyone seems to think that...
I always flipped my shit, so I was not in control of myself, you know.
Yeah, that's...
I'm like Barry. Got mad at that Mike and that other guy that did that rape thing on him.
No.
You didn't see that video when he was stuttering, like Bering was stuttering. I stutter exactly like Bering does when I get mad.
Yeah.
And when I start stuttering, people around me know to run. Run. And another thing about the battles back then is why did they always, line up half a mile from each other and then start running at each other? Me, I'm going to walk down.
Yeah.
Ready for fighting. Not half a mile getting there going.
Hold on a second. I need to catch my
I'll hit you in a minute. Just give me a second.
But that's the thing. That's the thing about combat, though. And if you look at warriors throughout history, the most effective ones were the ones that were willing to stand there and take it.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I've always thought it was interesting, like, why didn't both sides just start off, if they are at that distance anyway, why not all start off with bows, and when you run out of arrows, you go at each other?
Then you attack. Yeah.
Well, that's actually a very popular fighting style. The Persians were
running,
the first
hitting
to
each other?
No. I mean, firing off bows and arrows, and then advancing with your infantry and cavalry.
The English longbow system was based on that as well.
Yeah, that's what made them kick so much ass during the 100 Years' War, was that Welsh bodkin arrow and the English longbow. It was a very, very effective combination. Put down a lot of... sorry, go ahead.
The crossbow was invented. Who was it? The crossbow, when it was invented, a famous guy said, "This is the weapon to end all wars."
Yeah, but they've said that with every weapon, so I don't care about that.
I know, that's what I mean. But, it was one of the first, besides like a close-up shot with a longbow, it was one of the first things ever to pierce real, chainmail armor and steel plate armor, was a fucking bolt.
But in all fairness, the crossbow is a lot older than a lot of people realize, because yes, it started being used in Europe during the Middle Ages, but China already had it for a long time.
Yeah.
China's had everything first.
The longbows were very powerful as well.
A longbow is way more powerful than a crossbow. Way more powerful.
And
what
I think I learned that in history. It's like the worst thing you could do was capture a longbowman and cut off his top two fingers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because
and then you could just let him go because they couldn't fight anymore. They couldn't shoot.
Well, Plus, it was really, really expensive to train those guys on how to use it. The reason the crossbow became the preferred ranged weapon for armies after its invention was you had to train and equip a bowman with some very expensive training, some very expensive equipment.
Yeah,
or
a crossbow you just gave him and point and shoot.
Yeah. Point this in that direction and people will die. As opposed to the insane amounts of training that had to go into the use of a longbow.
But in all fairness, the story that you would cut off 2 fingers and that a longbowman wouldn't be effective anymore, I'm sorry, that's bogus.
Yeah, and I'm not really surprised that would be a myth of history.
The whole bow thing is like, you got to remember that the bow was a very expensive fucking tool to make, right? Like, it wasn't just like you went out and hacked a tree down and fucking strung a string around it and that was a fucking bow. It took 3 years to make an Egyptian bow.
Damn.
Like 3 years.
The
to
English
make an Egyptian bow.
Yeah, the English longbow was faster to make, to be honest. But yeah, it's still.
Didn't you also have to find the right branch with the right curvature and?
Well, I mean, you could shape it yourself through steaming, but the right kind of wood was very important. England had some of the best bows because of their
Jew wood.
Yeah.
And also there were a lot of later bow models. The Mongolian horse archers used a recurved composite bow.
Yeah, that was composite.
Which was wood, animal leather,
bone, sinew,
bones, sinew, all glued together. Thank you for compensating for my stutter, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm not cool about that. I'm sorry. I should not have done that. That was.
No. I very much appreciate it because I do have a stutter, and it makes it really hard to get all this stuff rushing out.
I never noticed it.
No, well, I'm noticing it today, to be honest.
I've noticed it a little bit on the last stream, but it's more because you keep saying "pardon me" for my stutter. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have even noticed.
I wouldn't even noticed unless you told me.
Well, the problem is when I start talking about something I'm really, really excited about, or I have a lot to say about, all the words and all the thoughts will try and come out at once, and it'll just come out as.
I know the feeling.
I know that as well. Sometimes I do that as well. I did a bit of archery when I was a little bit younger, and I never had the concentration for it, but it was pretty awesome to do, you know. Just feeling what it does to your body, and trying to aim that fucking thing. Like yellow, funk.
I'm pretty good with a bow, but like
it's not.
I'm not going to go to war with it. No, I'm not going to go to war with it or anything. I'll take my N4 every time.
Well, there are moments when a bow is useful. There are moments when a bow is more useful than an M4, to be honest.
Not in my fucking warfare, there's not.
Well, not in army against army, that is true. But in guerrilla warfare, a bow is more useful but only because you have the element of surprise.
Well, that's why we have snipers.
Well, a bowman can be a sniper too.
It's too bad I couldn't.
Not from 1,000 yards, he can't be.
1,000 yard is a little bit difficult, fair, but a few hundred meters, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you're not going to hit what you aim at every time with a fucking bow at a couple 100 yards either.
Well, no, but that's all. But that's also why you have about 30, 40 guys doing it.
But
there's a wave of arrows coming your way.
That was the pray and space that was the pray and spray of those days.
No, actually, the longbow was. If you want to compare the longbow to a modern day weapon, you compare it to artillery.
What?
Yeah, that's what it was for. Is in blanket, like 1,000 arrows come out. Like they do. We used to do what we call rolling, right? You know where your troops are, and you know where they want to be, so that you shoot about 100 yards ahead of them, advancing, right? And your troops move up behind that, just like they did with the archers.
Yeah,
that's pretty interesting.
So that's for example, what I also find funny if you look at a lot of movies. For example, I don't know if you guys saw the Lord of the Ring movie. The,
No, I mean, I haven't even heard of it. Well,
but at a certain point in time, they're standing in, I think it's in Helm's Deep, and they're all standing on the walls of the fortress to defend it against the oncoming horde of orcs.
Mhm.
They pick up their bows and they aim down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just about 200-300 meters thrown away. You aim up. It's distance. You don't want to aim down. If you start shooting whilst you can see the white in their eyes, which is a lovely thing. I never understood that. Oh, don't shoot them until you see the white in their eyes. I'm sorry. If I'm shooting with a bow, by the time I see the white in your eyes, I'd rather grab my hand weapon.
Those movies where they're standing up on a wall and there's thousands of them come, and I'm thinking to myself, God, me and a Mini 30, I could take you all on. Not one of you would fucking survive.
Yeah, but that's unfair comparison, mate. I mean, if
is
I had an
no
Uzi in a bar
way.
fight, then I would probably win too. If I'm the only one with an Uzi.
Well, yeah.
Well, there is that.
You might win with an Uzi, but if you don't get me first, I'm going to come up from behind the table with my fucking 45 and canoe your head, and then I win.
I said probably. I'll grant the possibility.
Like I say, the best guy in a gunfight is the guy that can stand there and have bullets go by him and shoot back with accuracy. These fucking guns that shoot 30 fucking bullets in a second and all that, that's for guys that can't shoot and don't know how to gunfight. I'll stand there with my fucking 500.
No,
I'll guarantee you. I'll guarantee you.
Accurate. Short range, bar fight type. Uzi is pretty accurate. It's scarily accurate.
And it's still the most accurate. I don't care what anybody says. You can hit more with that than anything else.
Yeah, nothing is more accurate than a hand grenade.
Have you guys
That's right.
heard about? We talked a little bit about this in the last stream, but about the White Death. This guy in Finland that just kept mowing down all the Russians.
The sniper.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the famous snipers.
Yeah. That was
did you hear about the guy in Mosul here last week?
No.
150 fucking ISIS kills,
I need
and
to
they
be
got a
honest.
hold of him last week.
Huh.
They got a hold of him last week and fucking cut his head off and all this shit like this. Apparently, he's been fighting fucking in Mosul by himself for 3 years.
What?
Never find out. Yeah, but he was knocking off all the commanders and everything over there and fucking left, right, and center.
Wow. That's a pretty amazing feature, if you ask me.
Yep. Especially like over there, when they search the whole place. They don't, there's 100 guys show up and they rip everything apart. Everything. And if they don't find what they want, they're going to start killing people until somebody's showing them what they want to show. They ain't nice people. Like when they say they're 7th century people over there, there are 7th century people over there. I mean, these guys are still fighting with fucking swords against each other. Up north and shit like that, man. It's like walking into a time zone. So I mean, a time fucking capsule. You're walking back 700 years, just like that.
Wow.
Then the CIA comes along and drops a bunch of fucking AKs in with them. And, oh, goody! Look at this. Yeah, point to Smalling at your forehead, buddy. Jesus.
Yeah, smoking is bad for your health, mate.
Yeah, it is very bad for your health. But hey, guys, I really hate to say this, but I gotta go. I'm falling asleep, and I'm being very, very, very disrespectful. I'm very sorry about that, but I gotta go. I gotta get some sleep in me. I've been up for quite some time.
No, it's all right, mate.
No problem.
Glad to have you on.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. And before I go, I'm just going to plug the 3 charities you got in the
Yeah, sure.
in the low bar down there: the Gary Sinise Foundation, the VA, and the Wounded Warrior Project. 3 very good charities, and if anybody can help, it'd be greatly appreciated. All right, guys, it's always a pleasure talking with you, and have a very good day.
Sleep well, mate. Thank you for coming. And then we were all quiet.
Matthias,
Well-
I'm smoking a joint at the moment, so. Around on Twitter here today. Some sort of fucking vacation. Oh, I guess the Cubs won and everybody's. Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, the Cubs won. We have 2 idiots running for president. It's the end of the world.
Well,
I don't know why everybody gives Donald Trump such a hard time. Like, why is he an idiot? He's a billionaire.
yeah.
He's got a 98% success rate in his.
You want to know why?
He's
Because I
married
can
to
tell you why.
He's married to a beautiful woman. Jail for any of the things that Clintons have been. Like, why is he an idiot?
I can tell you why.
Why?
Not going to like the answer though, because he's not a woman.
Well,
That's horrible.
Do you want Hillary Clinton with her fucking claw on the fucking button?
Hell no, I don't. But that's the problem. I mean, even in the Netherlands, if we look at the news in the Netherlands, we have nothing to do with the American elections, and still they are talking about Hillary as if she's got gifts to this green earth, and Trump as if he's the second coming of Satan.
Well,
Yeah, I know.
I think it's so weird that
It's the
everybody's
whole
going
man-
on. I think it's so weird that everybody's going on about the whole nuclear codes thing. It's like, don't you need multiple people to actually launch a nuke in the first place?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. So it's not like the American president gets up one day and says, "Oh, let's nuke Russia." You know why? Because somebody will come along with a gun and put him down. That's why. One of his fucking security staff. If you want to know who tells the president it's time to launch the nuclear codes, it's called the fucking Joint Chiefs of Staff. Okay,
Yeah.
they decide who
Yep.
implicates the nuclear codes. It's not the fucking president.
But the problem is, who is appointing those joint chiefs of staff?
Joint Chiefs of Staff comes from inside the Pentagon.
Yes.
And they've been there for 30 years. They know who they are. Excuse me.
Talk first, talk later.
Sorry, it's got the Hindu Kush. Oh.
It fights all
No,
the
but
way
like-
down, huh?
Yeah, like you're in say, what's his name? Trump's staff. General Flynn is going to wind up filling the fucking the chief of what the fuck is it called? Armed Chiefs Committee. Okay, like he's gonna wind up. There'll be 10 people there that have been there for 20 years that know everything about everything inside of the intelligence community. They will not move. You don't throw away your best soldiers because you change presidents, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't happen. And then there'll be 3 or 4 appointed to it, and then that's it. Those guys are in charge of the nuclear codes and everything. Yeah, sure, the president's all big and buff, and he's got his nuclear football. He can't do shit without those guys saying he can do shit. This is not the way the fucking nuclear arms work. Okay? Like everybody, oh, he'll have his finger on the button. So what? He press the button all he wants. If those guys don't want to fucking launch him, they're not going to launch him.
Yeah.
There are multiple safety mechanisms as well that you need to disable first.
But I do worry about Hillary Clinton, though, not just because I'm afraid that she will start a war. Yes, there is a chance that she will, don't get me wrong. I mean, there hasn't been a war she hasn't been in favor of that I can remember. But the real problem is that the Clintons lay behind them a swath of dead bodies. There are too many
Well, dead bodies and
unexplained
corruption.
Yeah, there are too many dead bodies behind them, and the explanations of most of these dead bodies are flimsy at best. And I don't want to be a conspiracy theory.
Listen to this one in Arkansas when he was the governor of Arkansas. Okay, a special coroner assigned to him. Coroner once gave natural cause as the death of somebody that was decapitated.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
No head. It was laying on the other side of the room, but it was natural causes. One guy was shot 6. One guy that this guy did for Clinton was shot 6 times, but he died of liver cancer. You know, that's how they got away with all that shit. All these kids, oh, if they were that bad, they would have never got away with it and all this stuff because they don't remember. You know, I grew up with the Clintons and fucking as a presidency. I know what they came from. They're murdering, drug dealing, arms dealing, mass murdering, fucking psycho people. They are, always have been.
Yeah, they are.
You know, because Hillary's got a vagina, what? That makes it all right to be a drug dealing, arms dealing, mass murdering fucking terrorist around the world?
And it's such bullshit that say, oh, you're just misogynistic. No, we just want a qualified woman in office. You know?
Yeah, it's not a. I mean, look at Jill Stein. I don't understand why she's not making more headway, even though, in all fairness, I find it brilliant that Jill Stein herself said, okay, if you want to vote for me, vote for Donald Trump.
But
That's
Jill Stein's got some ideas, man. Like, America would be bankrupt inside of 6 days if she got in charge. Because you couldn't have any more. You couldn't have any more cars. No more coal-powered plants. No more fucking nuclear energy. No more fucking hydroelectric energy. It's all gonna come from the sun.
What the fuck?
Well.
She's the leader of the Green Party. Like,
but in all fairness, I mean, hydroelectric you can still use because there's
I didn't get that. I didn't get that way. She was against hydro. I think it's something to do with the fish. Like you might traumatize them or some fucking thing like that. I don't know. I didn't get when she said when she said hydroelectric. I was going, what the fuck is wrong with hydroelectric?
There's hydroelectric you can use. It's true though. I mean, the sun produces and shoots more energy at this world than we use in 25 years or something.
Oh fuck yeah!
But
one 8 hour period, the sun side of the Earth, if we could actually collect that, it would run the entire Earth for 100 years. Okay.
So yeah,
but we're not at that point. We're not. We're not at that point yet.
But at the same time,
we're not at that point yet.
Trying to get more sustainable energy sources, yeah, I'm all for that. But doing away with the ones that we have before we have sustainable ones, yeah, that's not a good idea.
No, but that's the way she'd want it, though.
Do we have more to say about the warrior thing, or are we going to just continue this?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you about my opinion about this warrior thing. Nowadays, young people, there's two. Go into the U.S. military, okay? You can have a killer career, that's Air Force, okay? Or you can have a career as a killer, that's the Marines. Mm-hmm. Air Force, Navy and Air Force is for educated people. Army and Marines are for, killers.
Well, I just heard some stupid but funny jokes about Marines.
There's many of them. It's not one I haven't heard.
What do you call a Marine with an IQ of 70? General.
Yeah.
You know what the acronym Marine stands for? You could see Marine as an acronym. Muscles are required. Intelligence not essential.
Exactly.
It's just
they aren't called jarheads for nothing.
Yeah, they're not called jarheads for nothing. And the Marines, I mean, everyone thinks that Marines are an American thing. They're not. They're actually a Dutch thing.
A British. Nope. I thought they were British.
They were Dutch. The Dutch had Marines before the British.
I always thought they were the British. I thought the Marines were the British armed soldiers on a Navy vessel.
Yeah, they're called Mariniers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Dutch.
I thought that was. Oh, I thought it was the English that did that first.
No, the Dutch did that first. The English did it too. But the Dutch did it first. And
don't you always say that a lot of people that were fighting in those kind of battles were all Dutch, pretty much?
Most sailors in the English-British War were Dutch. On both sides of the conflict.
That's just too funny for some.
Yeah, but back in those days, and this is something that a lot of people still don't seem to understand. A soldier doesn't fight for his country. They don't fight for that king on the hill.
No, they don't.
They fight for their own glory and the survival of himself and therewith his brothers.
Yep.
Yeah. Battlefield, there is no such thing as what you call glory like there was back in the old days. Okay? No. If you try to go for glory on the battlefield today, you're going to get one of your own fucking guys' rounds in your back and you'll be a fucking... Oops.
You know what they say about heroes.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of have a problem with... the word a hero to use for soldiers.
So do I.
But that's more
Right, man.
because I look at it from both sides, you know. It's like, well, if we call our guys heroes, then
Yeah, but
you have heroes on the other side as well. So
You know-
who are
you
the
know
actual
what-
heroes?
you know what a hero is?
Well, I'm sure you're about to explain it to me.
A hero is the guy that survived. Doesn't matter what he did, he's a guy that survived.
Oh yeah, like Kane. He was a war hero. Yeah, he was a
You know-
war hero who got caught.
Hey, you want to know what's the? Yeah, okay, you can tell when a person's going to be a hero because it's 2 minutes right after they shit their pants.
Yeah. Most heroes didn't survive, but they're not called heroes.
Yeah. They
I don't know, I think
to tell the tale are the heroes, pretty much.
I think a hero nowadays a guy or a woman that can go to fucking work every day, work in something like being a doctor or a fucking fireman or something like that, and go 7 days a week. Nobody ever fucking praises them. They raise a family. Nobody goes to jail. Nobody commits a murder. You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Their daughter's not fucking 8 months pregnant with pink hair up on a fucking camera somewhere screaming and shaking her ass.
About the
That's a hero.
patriarchy.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, heroes are the ones that survive, and yeah, that's.
Well, there are the heroes from the history that didn't survive, aren't there?
Oh,
There are lots of. Yeah,
Well, quote unquote heroes.
but they are people we call heroes after the fact.
Like what? Custard is considered a hero?
Custard is
I
fucking
would-
moron.
Yes, I would call him an idiot. I'm sorry. Yes, he died bravely. He also died stupidly.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, everyone knew what was going to happen.
I mean, it might be
Fucking
might be my misconception about it, of course.
Maybe.
There's a guy that throws himself on a grenade to save the
someone
buddies in the
else.
foxhole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Not some fucking idiot fucking general that goes in and loses a fucking battle against
This is-
2,000 fucking Soviets.
But this is something.
And that makes him a fucking. All of a sudden, it makes him a fucking hero. No, he was a fucking idiot.
But this is
took
something.
machine gun-
This is something about the Second World War, for example. Everyone talks about the heroics of the American army in Europe. Everyone talks about the heroics of the British army in Europe. Some people might mention the heroics of the French army in Europe. No one talks about the Polish, the Moroccans, or the Germans. What, they didn't have heroic?
What about the Canadians?
Yeah, okay, they get mentioned too, to be honest.
We've got entire we've got entire towns from World War II times that lost every man in it.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
true,
Okay,
true,
from
true,
Dunkirk, you know what I mean?
True. Yeah, I know
I
what
know
you
a
mean.
guy. He died last year, 105 years old. Okay,
Damn.
he left Saskatchewan when he was 15 to up in the army. He went over. He landed on. He was there at Dunkirk. He took 5 fucking machine gun rounds across the stomach. Some German stripped him of his uniform and left him laying naked on the beach. A priest came along, started giving last rate notice he's alive. They ship him off. They think he's a fucking German because he can't speak. He spends 5 months in a fucking prisoner of war camp. They send him back to Canada after they find out he's a Canadian soldier. He heals up, and by the time his boat gets to fucking Nova Scotia, he's healed up enough that they send him back. He makes it onto the he makes it onto the beach the second time, and a 144 millimeter round landed about 50 feet away from him, and they pulled a 48-gram chunk of fucking of the casing out of his neck.
Wow. But yeah, no,
that was before he
You
was.
kind of got the
that was
short
before
end
he
of the
was.
stick then, huh?
Yeah, that was before he was 16 years old.
yeah.
Damn.
No, that's true though. I mean, Canadians, English, Americans, they all did great things, but we totally ignored the fact that there were other people that did great things. For example, the Moroccans, the Polish, the Czech, the Ukrainians, but even among the Germans, there were really good fighters. I mean, yes, it was a war.
Yeah,
But
I don't demonize the other people's soldiers because we're in a war with each other. Sure, if they try to kill me, I'm going to kill them. But that's not demonizing them, right?
No, that's war.
I know.
It's not personal.
Like this analogy, like the Cold War. Okay, like the only people that hated each other were the two munitions companies, one in Russia and one in fucking the United States.
Mhm.
Right? The generals hated each other because they were patriots and all that bullshit like this. But the average person in Russia didn't even know that they were in the Cold War.
But do you know?
They didn't know. They had no idea.
Do you know the series The Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
Oh yeah, I watch it. That's a long time ago.
That's a Russian
think I've heard
secret
of it.
agent, an English secret agent, and an American secret agent working together.
Huh.
Yeah.
You know the funny story? They're based on reality. Well, not the stories, but the fact that they worked together. They did. We know that they did.
Yeah.
Well, they could kill each other as well, but they did work together at times.
Well,
this is like everybody in the news.
I wanted to say something about the whole demonization, because in like modern times, it seems a very effective tool to get opinions swayed. Like with the whole Muslim thing that we're getting demonized and stuff, makes it easier for people to believe in the war, is it not?
It dehumanizes your opponent enough that you can get your ordinary, everyday people to kill them.
Yeah, because
that's what it is.
That's
that
the main
creating
problem.
a sort of apathy or something towards them?
No, not so much
Well,
an apathy
hatred,
as
yeah.
more hatred, indeed. The thing is,
okay.
this is something that went
It's
wrong in the
the
First
other-
War. In the First World War, there have been many a story where the two fighting sides actually took a break from fighting.
Yeah.
And, for example, celebrated Christmas together.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, my buddy's friend Bob. He was over in France, and he said, I asked him about it. What it was like. He says most of the time, he says, I was there for a year. He says I was in southern France. He says I was trying to stay warm because it's the coldest motherfucking wet country in the world when he was there. And he says usually our day went like this. We got up at about 500, went out. We shot all our ammunition at them. They shot all our ammunition. They shot all their ammunition that they had for the day at us. And then other than that, they traded cigarettes back and forth.
Yeah, but this was a problem. This is why they started the training of the soldiers differently after the First World War, and especially after the Second World War. Because if you see the enemy, the first thing that you have to think is, I need to kill him.
Right. That's where there's been studies done in World War II that almost 6 out of 10 guys refused to fire unless they were under direct threat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that
Like
sort
that.
of the
The army did not like that at all.
isn't that kind of the code of behavior these days though? Don't shoot until you're fired on.
Well, no, that's a law.
Yeah, but they don't.
Actual-
They don't really obey that law.
I'll let you a little known secret that if I was walking a beat with my guys and I don't care who the fuck it is, they pointed a fucking, they're dead.
Yeah, you're not going to
No
wait till
fucking
they
around.
shoot.
I'm not fucking around. I don't care if it's a 10-year-old with a fucking AK-47. Just because you don't make the height requirement for the rides at the park, you point a fucking gun at me, you're dead.
Yep.
Okay, that's just the way it is. Sorry.
Well, at that point, it's also just your own survival, and I don't get the whole hatred amongst the people for defending yourself, pretty much.
Yeah. I have
It's like,
no problem.
How can you shoot kids? Well, they pointed a fucking gun at me. That's why. Yeah.
Well,
Machine gun.
no one,
Not like a
You don't want to do
cap
it.
gun, a machine gun.
no one is going to ask you how could you get killed by a kid.
Nope.
Yeah.
Because you're dead.
So
Judged
yeah,
by 6, or judged by 12 and carried by 6.
Yep.
So
That's something that pisses me off if I hear that. It's just like, dude,
Yeah.
you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And you better shut the hell up.
Now, I've never been in a real war like Gunny has, so I don't know how I will actually react. I mean, I can talk a good fight, but I've never been in one. Well, I've been in a few fisticuffs, but that's not the same thing.
But all I can say is like some people get flat rattled the first time that a fucking bullet goes by their head, right?
Yeah,
It just flat out fucking right.
I can see myself being one of those people, to be honest.
What?
I don't know, but it is possible.
Sorry, what was that?
That for example, in a gunfight, that I would be rattled, that I would be shell shocked, basically.
Well, like I said, when the first round goes by, people will freeze up, and some people will start killing people.
Yep.
Me, I was
you know, like,
I was one of the lucky ones. I started killing people.
I just, like I said, I was watching this. I can't remember his name now, but and he said at one point he was just chilling around and nothing was really happening, and apparently even soldiers joked about, God, I'm so bored. I wish we were in a fight right now. And then like a bullet would whiz, or the guy got some sand in his face, and for a second he was like, "Are we getting fired? Oh, duck!" And
Yeah,
everybody gets up and starts firing back.
I don't know if you guys know Lindy Bates, but he made a movie not too long ago about the English army and how officers in the English army walk around, for example.
Huh.
They don't run across the battlefield. They walk.
Yeah.
Because you know what? They're shooting at you. If you run, you know what? You run into the bullet rather than walk into the bullet. If they hit you, they hit you. If they don't, they don't.
Yep.
That if you're running, you're made to be looked important, and they're gonna fucking like. That's one thing about the old battles, that you couldn't shoot the officers, and you couldn't do this, and they held the officers for ransom.
Yeah, for ransom. Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I do? First time I got near a fucking officer, he'd be a dead motherfucker. His head home as a fucking war prize.
Yep.
Hey, that guy's not to be fucked with over there, right? you put the king's son's head on a fucking pike outside your house.
Well, that's going to leave a message, that's for sure.
Yep. But that really blows me away when I found that, this was years ago, but they used to take hostage and you couldn't shoot the officers, and they had fucking, everybody'd stop for lunch and shit like that. Like, wow. War's a little different nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
You only stop when you run out of ammunition.
Yeah, and only because you have to, not because you want to.
Yep.
Well, there's been a couple times I've had to throw my M16 down because I thought it was going to blow up in my hands.
But the M16 is a ridiculously, how do you call it, unpredictable weapon.
It's a new one? No. Fucking new ones, except for the gas tubes. Gas tubes get a little bit fucking kinky on you. But
but I mean, I don't understand it. If you look at the M16 and if you look at the AK-47.
Oh, I'll take an AK over time, but it's just hard to get bullets.
And that's the thing I tried to say. But the AK is a weapon designed in the Second fucking World War. Why can't America make it? Why can't America?
The AK was designed in the Second World War.
Yeah, that's what I said.
The AK was designed from the German, what is that, M49 or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, well, it was made to be made cheaper, to be made easier, and to be reliable as
mass-produced.
Yeah, well, mass-produced and functioning, no matter the fuck what. Wasn't you can't have a weapon that won't work because of a bit of sand got in it.
Well, wasn't that the case with the Russian tanks as well?
What do you mean?
I don't know. It's just something I heard again. I don't know if it's
the
true or not.
Russian tanks. The
Russian tanks were like really cheap or pretty cheap and just.
The Russian tanks.
They were just raw material slapped together, and here you go.
Yeah, they weren't cheap, but they were mass
that's
produced.
What it was.
Yeah.
The AK-47 and the AK were basically they're simple weapons. This is the thing, though. I mean, if you
don't Americans have something similar to the AK these days, though?
No,
not for military. It's all M4, M16.
Okay.
And the M16 is so fucking unreliable. The M4 seems to be okay.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like it depends on your internal trigger package is what matters, right? And the Army's going to take the lowest fucking bidder, so naturally, a piece of sand gets in there and it fucks it up. A fucking AK-47, you can go out and fucking roll it around in a mud puddle for a week.
Yeah, and it's still going to work.
Slap a clip in it, and it's still going to fucking work.
But that's the thing, though. I mean, if you look at Russian engineering or American engineering, for example, take the F-16, the fighter plane, and compare it to, which one was it? The MiG-22, the MiG, I don't know. Basically the same thing. But the MiG was still built on usually hydraulics and and basically cables.
Cable fly by wire.
Yeah, and if you look at the F-16, it was computerized and high on technology. MiGs could be shot out of the air for, let's say, 50%, and you could still land one. An F-16, if you got hit, you build that motherfucker because it's not going to land anymore.
That's right. Well, look at the Su-22 the Russians have now. Their fighter bomber, right? Their Su-22. Yeah. They had this thing, war games over in Hawaii. I think it was 2 years ago, and they had one wing of Su-27s against F-16s, F-15s, F-16s, or F-18s, and the F-22 Raptor was an 80% attrition rate on the U.S. side. Yeah,
which is weird because especially the Raptors, they're supposed to be, they can outmaneuver anything and they can...
No, they can't. They're junk. They're junk.
Yeah, but the F-16, maneuverability-wise, the F-16 is pretty good. But they can't handle shit. I mean, if you sneeze in the wrong direction, the bloody thing is going to fall apart.
The best plane in the fucking services of the United States right now is the A-10, and they want to retire it.
The Warthog. Yeah. But what's the problem with the A-10 is that it's basically a ground weapon.
Oh, that's strange because most of our fucking people that we've been fighting lately are on the fucking ground.
Well, that's true. But no, I mean, I can understand why they... No, let me rephrase that. I cannot understand why they would want to retire the A-10, but you cannot put it in the same line as, for example, the F-16s and the MiGs. Because that's for air superiority. The A-10 is not for air superiority. Though I think that if but I think
you can still arm it. You can still put an arms package for air combat on.
Yes, that's what I wanted to say.
It's just it's just slower. That's all.
Yeah, but I think an A-10 wouldn't outmaneuver an F-16, and if an F-16 can shoot it before the Warthog can shoot back, then the F-16 would win. But as soon as the Warthog can fire back, the F-16 is fucked.
I've seen a Warthog land with half a wing.
Yeah.
And indestructible.
But the Warthog is basically built roughly in the way that the Russians did. Yes. It's a tank killer. It's supposed to take a beating.
Yeah. Nothing made me happier when you heard those fucking twin turbo fucking hill, because you knew that the guys on the other side of the hill were shitting their pants.
Yeah, there is that. I'm going to look at the stream and I see Toxic Hamster saying AK-47 can't hit shit. And yes, that's partly true. They aren't very accurate. At the same time, though, they can basically blast a wall of lead your way. So.
Yeah, that's right. And none of that is they'll actually we're restricted to the 5.62 round NATO round. They started using fucking 308 or 7.62. Right?
Yeah.
So they have a lot more punch than you know. You get hit with an AK. You know you've been hit.
Yeah.
You get hit with a 5.62. It's like basically getting hit with a hopped up 22.
Yeah. And a 22. Right? I mean, I never understood that people would buy a hand weapon like a pistol, 22, for self-defense. Because to me, if you hit someone with a 22, all you did is make them angry.
Yeah.
It's like shooting a BB gun at him.
Yeah. Well, it's a little beefed up BB gun, but a little bit beefed up.
I kind of liked the 22 when I was over at my family because it just doesn't have a kick. But that's the only reason.
In the Netherlands, we don't really fight weapons. But for example, we don't really have firearms. But for example, if you look in America you have firearms.
Oh, yeah.
What idiot would get himself a 22?
Dude, I was playing with a shotgun one morning, like all morning, just putting the shell in the chamber and going. Also, I was 16 years old and visiting America and my family. Just fucking bored out of my mind, just going. Hey, let's do that again. And later we went shooting, off, right? And then the kickback, I was like, oh, fuck this. Give me the 22.
Yeah, but the kickback, I mean, that's action-reaction for you. If the kickback of a weapon isn't high, then you know that the impact of the weapon won't be high either.
Yeah, true that. Shot a bird with 22, though. That was pretty fun. Until my uncle fucking cussed me out like there was no tomorrow. Because I was alone.
Poor bird.
Yeah, well. I'm not particularly proud of that moment. But yeah. After that, I was like, I'll never kill anything until it's in self-defense or I really need food.
Yeah, that last thing is important to me. If you kill it, it's because you're hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho.
You.
Yeah.
Or it's trying to kill you.
Yeah, you know, you're right, but I don't really have that happening to me very much, so...
Well, my cousin always slept with a shotgun, a loaded shotgun next to his bed because sometimes the black bears would come down and try to get into the house and stuff. So
yeah, that's a good reason.
So he could like just fucking wake up and shoot the thing, you know.
That's a good reason.
Yep. Yeah, he lives, or he used to live back in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. What the fuck am I doing here? Oops.
I don't know.
I'm just fucking around here.
No clue what you're doing, by the way. Hey, I can't remember. Did you like that picture I gave you from the...
Oh, for the for the... you gotta email it to me because every time I can't get pictures to save, except for they come up in a different file that won't this whatever can't handle this script or whatever. So you have to send it to me to that email address I gave you.
Oh, fucking hell. I can't even remember where I put it.
Oh, don't worry about it. It's like I gotta fucking. I'm getting a new computer here anyway, so I'm trying to stop getting so much stuff on this one because it's just about fucking done anyway. It's an 8-year-old laptop and it's just about breathing its last breath.
I need to figure out, by the way, how to use Blender to make movies, but that's completely off topic here. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm kind of like,
to...
are we going to talk more about warriors and war and I don't know, whatever, or are we going to call it an end?
War sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, no shit. But I do also think that...
I'm not talking just...
I do think that if we have a too complacent society, it's not really that good for us.
Well, I mean, it's okay if you want that your society accepts war, fair enough. But then you should also respect your warriors. Yep. You can't have both. Definitely. What we have now is in the Western world, we are pushing for a lot of wars, and at the same time, we do not respect our warriors. That's a bad combination.
Exactly. Apparently, that also makes it hard for soldiers to go back into society.
But it's always been hard for soldiers to go back. That's not new.
Well, it's like fuck, I need to look up his name, but this video I was watching earlier, and he was talking about the Apaches, the Comanches, and the Indian tribal life, and apparently the stories that got passed down, they said like as soon as the warriors came back to the tribe, it took them like a week, maybe 2, before they were like fully integrated back into tribal life. And we don't really see that too much anymore.
See, this is my whole thing about why the cops got so violent is because they did take all these guys that did 3 or 4 tours over there, and they're all in the military now. There's no way that they should they offered me the job. If I would have took the job as a cop, there would have been at least 3 or 4 dead people just from my training.
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing to do with nothing. No race. It would have been just from sheer training. There's no way you bring a guy that's been doing that for 3 years back to the country, give him a gun and a badge and the authority, and turn him loose on society. That's fucking crazy. Could you home for at least 3 years before you fucking give him a gun and a badge.
How many years? You kind of cut out there.
At least 3 years.
Yeah. couldn't they like serve in special police units or something?
Oh,
Or
the
do
only thing
they?
a real Marine is trained for is on the street. I mean, you're not, yes, there are. I'm not saying that, that's not what I'm saying. It's just that it takes you a while to get into that position inside of the police force, right? You're not going to take
Yeah, that's
fucking staff sergeant from there and make him a staff sergeant in the army because that just don't work, right? Like,
Yeah.
they got to go, over here. Our range, they're highly educated. Like they usually have 2-3 degrees and stuff like this. But like I say, as for taking a fucking guy that did 6 tours over in Iraq and bringing him back here, and then fucking within 6 months he's got a gun and a badge and he's on the street. That's a
Scary,
recipe for
even.
that's a fucking recipe for disaster. Okay,
Yeah,
for everybody all around. Right,
and then place them in crime-riddled neighborhoods.
yeah.
Well, they're still like soldier trained and hyper vigilant and all that kind of stuff.
Well, not only that, you're still myself when I was always relaxed in my country, but as soon as my foot hit the sand over there or the tarmac over there, my fucking adrenaline level went way up, and it stayed up until I got on the fucking plane to come back home.
All right.
Months and months of operating on fucking adrenaline.
Yeah.
But that's logical. I mean, you aren't in a safe place.
No.
Yeah. My uncle also told me about the whole adrenaline thing, that you get so used to it, and then you come back and your body is kind of deprived of all that adrenaline. Sometimes the body is just asking for that fix of adrenaline.
That's why I used to skydive
over there.
That's why I used to skydive and base jump. Well, that and I did it.
You ended up in the fire department, so you had the camaraderie over there,
Well, that's that's a cool job.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yep.
Where am I? Fucking hell. Gunny, can you drop your email in the group chat in the Hangout? I'll send it to you. I'm so fucking proud of that thing I made for you, and you haven't even really seen it.
Like I said, I can't. No, it shows up on my thing. Like I can see it in my file, but when I try to go onto a social media site or something, it Twitter says, "Oh, it can't do it because it's a certain file or some fucking thing." I want to kick the computer, but
let's see if I can share it. It's where are you? How does this work? Screen share.
I gotta go get a keyboard tomorrow. Or I'm gonna fucking beat somebody to death because.
Can you see it now though?
Yep.
7%.
This I need some text on that. I agree with Hillary Clinton on this one. These toddlers don't need guns.
You can put that on yourself if you want. Well, I can put it on.
I could if I knew. I could if I knew how to. You're talking to a fucking raging idiot when it comes to computers. Okay? I can build you. I can build you a tank. I can build you a fucking battleship. Build you a computer, but don't ask me to use the fucking thing. Okay? That's just
Well, I can. I didn't do the text though because I can do that now though.
Oh, my fucking lighter decided to die. $90 fucking lighter and it's dead.
Oh, that speaking about lighters, it kind of reminded me of a buddy of mine. He got gifted a lighter from, I don't know, some kind of special forces guy, and he's been like every now and again he would be at a bar and have that lighter on the Zippo on the table or on the bar or something. Some guy would come up to him all like, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing with that lighter?" And then he'd tell the story, and then it's like, "Oh, all right," and then it's cool.
I got
a lighter from
that lighter?
my grandfather.
Oh, you get fucked.
your head would be cut off somewhere. But I got a lighter from the one that carried the Mighty Mo, the one that carried the Missouri that carried nuclear bombs to launch from, right? I've got a lighter from that, every ship in the Navy has their own individual Zippo lighters, right? And I've got an original one from there.
Cool.
I've been offered hundreds of dollars for that fucking thing.
Yeah, you don't give that shit away.
It was my grandpa's.
Yep.
I had 3 grandpas that were shooting at each other during World War II. One was a Russian, one was a fucking German, and one was an Englishman. Or not an Englishman, but a Swede. He came from Sweden, and he went over and did whatever the fuck they do. And,
yeah.
But so everybody was shooting at everybody. They put all their they used to sit around the fucking table and eat and drink and do whatever. Nobody ever, you're a German, I'm going to kill you.
That's something that I find a little bit strange from the whole, the Civil War. I want to say Gettysburg, that's the Civil War, right? Where like families were divided and were fighting each other and stuff.
Brother against brother, is what they used to say.
It's like, what must be going through your head when you're actually shooting at your brother,
Yeah. Well, don't think about that too much.
But maybe it's still again the old brotherhood you have within the military. It's like you fight to protect the one that's beside you.
Well, I've had a girlfriend shoot me by accident once. I had my brother shot me in the knee once.
What the fuck?
I was over at my place, and the weird. She came in. She was about half drunk, and I was cleaning up and doing some work on this 38, and I hadn't put it in it. I was just checking, set it down, and it had 1 round in it. And she picks it up and goes, "Oh, what's this?" Bang! She shoots me right through the fucking side.
Ow!
Oh, it hurt like a motherfucker.
Holy crap!
Imagine that.
There's also one of these gun fill videos I saw where this I don't know, it was at a celebration and this guy was shooting up in the air, and then he put the fucking gun into the crib with a baby.
Yeah.
That's fucking asking for trouble. So like 2 seconds later or something in the little movie, of course the baby shoots his father in the gut.
Well, I can, it could have been worse than that.
Yeah, true. But
just go on YouTube and look people looking down the end of a shotgun.
Oh,
You'll be fucking surprised, man. Like how people can be that stupid. They pull the trigger, nothing happens. So what's the first thing you do? Look down the fucking barrel.
Yeah.
First, you make sure it's not loaded. Then
The most dangerous gun in the world is an unloaded gun. Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because people think it's safe.
Yeah. Pick it up, point at somebody, pull the trigger, and next thing you know, there's a dead guy laying over on the fucking kitchen table. Everybody
I thought you said an unloaded gun.
Loaded gun, because they're all unloaded until you pick them up and pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, true.
And the thing though,
Right.
if the magazine doesn't have to be in there. There can always be a round in the chamber.
Yep.
That's great. I put the email on the side, by the way.
Thank you. But this is what you want, right?
That's exactly.
Here, let me present it. Let me click on your name there, Molly.
I'll mail it to you right away.
Thank you.
See, I already had it.
Like I said, you sent it to me, or I tried to get it once. It shows up in my files, but when I tried to a social media site, it says sorry, but it doesn't handle this, whatever the fuck it means.
Huh? Moderating dropped out.
At times. He's the only guy that can go in and come back out like 16 times during the stream.
Yeah, that was my bullshit. Now I lost your email address. Fuck's sake. Yeah. Fucked up.
Don't worry about it. I got it right here.
There you go.
Thank you.
Well, should we call it a day?
Okay. Sure. I
Well,
gotta have
that was-
something to eat here.
I had a good talk, to be honest, but yeah, I think we said all there is to say.
Yeah, I kind of like not having a full hangout because then I'm not.
I don't do
to interrupt and stuff, you know.
Yeah, I don't go on people. Like, if there's any more 5 or 6, like, I've been invited on a couple and there's just too many people and I just leave. Because I can't handle that, everybody talking over everybody. It makes no sense. You're wasting your time.
Yeah, it's true that.
Anyways, I'm going to shill our charities here again before we leave.
Cool.
The first one
Cool,
is the
man.
Gary Sinise Foundation. Then we have the VA website and the Wounded Warrior Project. If you want to help, consider donating to these charities. They do a lot for veterans.
Yeah.
And,
anyway, thank you for inviting me on here. We'll get this set down path. Like I said, the last couple of weeks have been fun. Couple to put in the fucking memory books for sure.
Yeah, I've also
real life jumps up and smacks you in the face sometimes.
Yeah, I was kind of last time. I was a little bit like, where the fuck is Gunny? But you know,
Modway,
we should do this again sometime soon.
Sure.
It's pretty good.
Sure.
Well,
I know I got a stream. I know I got a stream coming up this weekend, but I can't remember with fucking who. It's either Gary. I think it's either Gary or Rory. One of the fucking two.
Cool.
Well, you've asked me a few times if I can join on a stream with Gary, but I'm just not big enough.
No, it's not that. It's not that. It's just timing never works out, and
no, it's not a problem.
Gary's been extremely busy. He worked 6 days in a row last week, and
yeah, I've had a lot of. I had a bad week as well, to be honest. You have those periods.
Yep.
That's
anyway, if I do get on with Gary tomorrow, tomorrow's Saturday, right? So that'd be yeah, that's right. Okay, I'll get in touch with him and for sure. I'll see if we can get something together. Depends on how many people he has on.
Well, I would like to thank my guest today. It was very awesome. Also, thanks for everybody that was in the chat. And we'll do this again soon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Bye.